Hey, welcome to First Issue Club, your weekly comic book podcast. A little bit of a different twist this time. We're going into a slightly new format. Going to be keeping the conversations looser, less rules. Maybe we need a new name. Not sure yet. If you have any suggestions, listen to this episode first and then say, what would I call that?
Yeah, what how are we going to completely change our name?
How about Comic Book Club?
First issues are still going to make a big, huge appearance.
Yeah, big impact. Yeah.
Because we're covering the week's news, the week's impacts, all of that kind of stuff. It's just not going to only be first issues anymore, but it's still a club that celebrates first issues. So, I vote keep the name, to be honest.
And I'll say last week we mentioned that we're going to a bi-weekly format for a little bit, so you'll hear from us again in 14 days.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. That's why we're going to pack this cheeseburger with extra cheese.
Yep.
Yeah, longer than normie.
And 3 pickles.
The conversation's going to be looser, but the content's going to be thicker.
Juicier. Looser and juicier.
That's the new tag name for the episode.
Yeah.
Juicier and loosier.
Okay, so I'm Mike D.
Budget King.
I'm Greg.
And
I was out for a minute with COVID.
that's true. So you've just heard from me and Greg for a little bit. I was out for a while looking for a job. Got one.
Yeah.
I've been your constant lighthouse of comic book news.
Greg ain't dying from COVID, ain't getting new jobs. He's just comic guy.
Yep. My AC is out, so I'm just super sweaty.
There you go.
My first question for you guys is...
Did we listen to new Kendrick? Yes.
Oh,
It's
God.
out?
No, just the single.
Oh, okay.
It drops Friday. We can skip that now. This is what we do. If you're a first-time listener, we cover music, and then we say, we don't cover music, and then we move off of it really quickly.
Yep.
What were we going to ask us?
Are we going to be a Doctor Strange spoiler podcast this week?
This week, yes.
Yeah, I think so, because...
The internet did it the day after.
And I've got a news item that I want to discuss with you guys about it.
Okay, so do we want to get into takes and opinions off the bat, or save that for later?
I think that's the newsworthiest news. Well, actually, no. We had 2 titans pass away in the comic book community.
Oh, yeah, let's
that
start
I really
there.
want to touch on.
Yeah,
Okay.
please. Yeah.
Neil Adams
Mhm.
passed away, and George Perez passed away. 2, I would say, pioneers in the comic book community. Did great work in the 70s and 80s with getting creators more control over their artwork and kind of just furthering the medium into new audiences and to new areas that they haven't been before. So their loss is felt throughout the community.
That was a big part of Neil Adams' legacy that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, so he basically pioneered this trend to make sure that creators, mostly illustrators, kept the rights to their original drawings because publishers used to keep them and then just destroy them.
Yeah, and you think about how much money some of those people would make off of those classic comics if they still had the art today.
So,
And obviously with the hobby of collecting original art being really hot right now, that is huge for illustrators to keep up their income and livelihood.
And illustrators are normally fighting for the podium against the writers, so it gives them a little bit more of like collateral.
right. And, I mean, we're not here to weigh who does more during a comic book, a writer or an illustrator.
Yeah.
But the illustrator has to produce so many pages a day to keep up with the demand, especially with the big 2, to stay relevant and to keep up with the deadlines. That, I mean, they are really producing some high-class art in a short amount of time. So the fact that they get to keep those original pages and covers to make a second income is, I mean, it's life-changing.
So good on you. Rest in peace, Neil Adams, even though you were mean to me once at a convention.
Oh.
I think everyone has a Neil Adams was grumpy with me story, to be honest.
I think he just had bad gas that day.
Could have been.
Yeah, but I mean, Twitter was lit with like really nice stuff about both of these 2. All my
Right.
Substacks were just celebrating these people. So yeah.
It was unfortunate because, I mean, George Perez did have cancer, and
Right.
so that was one that we were all just kind of waiting on bated breath to
He
when
was
we
in
would
his
get
60s.
that. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's young.
Neil
But-
Adams, no one saw that coming. I think I read somewhere that he had complications from sepsis, which is not a fun thing. So just terrible, terrible, terrible.
Let's pour one out, but specifically pour one out of a Space Camper IPA from Boulevard Beer.
Yum, yum, give me some down in my tum-tum.
I don't love doing the ad as nested in an in memoriam.
It wasn't. It was nested out of it.
Okay, yeah.
This ad had flown the nest and was...
It transitioned us out of the in memoriam. Okay.
Yeah.
Space Camper IPA. Drank some of it today. Delicious beer, hoppy, refreshing. Those notes hit so well on a warm summer night.
And you'll feel like you're drinking a comic book because of the artwork. So that's why you're here.
On the can?
Yeah, right?
How much would you have to be paid to drink a comic book? For real?
Oh, I don't know, like $1.
Jesus Christ.
It's paper. It's edible, man.
Yeah, well, they put it into a smoothie or something and I
Right.
drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Don't tell me. Do it next time.
I don't know, $5. Yeah, $5.
All right, check the Patreon because that's my next video. I'm going to prank you with a paper smoothie.
You just drank a comic book. Thanks. That was me saying thanks because I don't care. Great. That's great.
Yeah.
Let's go into Doctor Strange then.
Yeah.
As-
Spoilers ahoy.
Okay. So
Yeah, turn it off if you don't want to hear spoilers.
yeah, fast forward exactly 7 minutes.
Timer starting now.
That's how much I want to talk about Doctor Strange is 7 minutes.
Hey, it's Mike popping in with a little update. We did not stick to our 7-minute guesstimate. We ended up going much further than that. So if you want to skip any Doctor Strange spoilers, you should be able to jump to 25 minutes in the podcast. And then we're going to get into other comic book news and reviewing a couple comics. So skip ahead to 25 minutes if you don't want to hear any Doctor Strange stuff. You have been warned.
That we can talk about spoilers and how good it was or not. The thing that I think has superseded that, which I've seen everywhere and like took over Twitter for 2 days, is this PG-13 conversation, which we talked about a little bit on our text thread.
Mm-hmm.
Just being like this dominant thing of like, holy shit, Doctor Strange was so violent. How did it get a PG-13 rating?
Yeah.
And then this like debate on like, well, is Disney such of a titan that they're like an R would tank our profits, so PG-13 keeps us in the profit margin that we want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the best argument that I've heard is that PG-13 actually means PG-13, but families treat it like PG. And if you actually, if you observed it as PG-13 and you let 13-year-olds come see it only, fine.
Yeah.
But because they treat it like PG, yeah, it's not great for a 10-year-old to see that shit.
No, I would 100% let a 13-year-old see everything that I saw in Doctor Strange too.
Right.
I think that was rated correctly, but like you said, people see Marvel movies or MCU movies and they're just like, oh, I'll take the whole family, when really you have to kind of adhere to the ratings that are given by the Motion Picture whatever association.
Yeah. There wasn't full frontal nudity, so
No.
didn't get the R.
And the violence in it was fucking rad. It was awesome.
It made it better.
Yeah.
So I have seen some pans of the movie.
Some pans, really?
Yeah, like I know circles we run in, and definitely like comic book people and just nerds are like elated with this movie. Box office scores are great.
Mm-hmm.
People who, and this is a weird niche of people who are like cinematically critical of Marvel movies. Like they like them, but they like to critique them. Thought this was like bloated and didn't do much plot wise, but was like very cinematically appealing.
Interesting.
The idea of like judging these against themselves as an art form is so absurd to me.
I totally agree.
Same.
Yeah.
We don't need like a Siskel and Ebert of MCU films. Like they're popcorn movies. Treat them as such.
Well, and the whole thing that they try to be prideful in is being like, we're going to treat one like a retro throwback comedy, and then the other one's going to be an espionage thriller. I don't know. They're completely different movies. Yeah, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. But like your idea for like just because one of these movies is in the lower 5 of like your favorite MCU movies, if you still enjoyed it, then great.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Shut the fuck up.
I like the game of when they're like, oh, this is just a Rambo action movie, or like when they like like this was a noir movie. I think that's kind of fun to have a mix of what it is. I think it's fair to judge it against like the predecessor Doctor Strange, which was like bland and vanilla.
Yeah.
It was like it happened to me and it was like cool, but it wasn't like great. This blows that out of the water. I felt like
Sure.
I wonder for this one the amount of references to Marvel stuff, if that was tough for a more general audience. One of the things I think Marvel has done a better job at over the years is deciding when's a good time to stay true to the comic and when isn't. Like the Black Widow's hair or accent is like a great example of those things that they tried early on that like just looked awful because they wanted this like shock of red hair that was really true to the character, and they knew she was Russian, and it was like those moviegoers don't care.
Yeah.
You might have like a couple nerds who are like, no, but they're getting better about saying, you know what, these things are corny in film. We don't need to pay homage to them.
Or like Wolverine being like comically short.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Makes like no sense.
Although I do love that. I hope they do carry that through in the new films of how he's just kind of a short king just doing his thing.
It's Short King Summer, so hope that happens.
But this movie did have a lot more references than normal, but I think they handled them in a accessible enough way that you could take or leave them. Like a great way to do it is throw out things like I work for the Baxter Foundation, and that was like, oh, cool. Like we're gonna get some Fantastic Four stuff, and then we did. Like that. That was really fun for me as a reader. But little throwaway lines like that aren't something that if you're not familiar, you would just let that glaze over you.
I thought the tricks they did with the multiverse were fun and added to the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, visually, this movie was 10 out of 10. It knocked it out of the park. There was some really cool visuals. The horror element from Sam Raimi was delightful. I think people forgot Sam Raimi directed this, and that's where some of the complaints are coming from.
He's back, baby.
And he has a very particular director and like cinematic eye. Like he did the Evil Dead movies, and he did all those horror movies. Like he has a certain style of getting his point across, and he did that in Doctor Strange.
What did you guys think of the movie notes scene? Was it corny or cool?
I laughed, and then I looked at Caitlin, and she was laughing. But at this point, you're just like, okay, just go with it.
It wasn't like a Spider-Man 3 moment where he's like tap dancing.
So I know it wasn't a Spider-Man 3 moment, but that was one of those moments where I was like, oh yeah, Sam Raimi's directing this.
Right.
Like it took me out of it to the point where I was just like, people made this. And some of the decisions they made were weird.
Have you seen like Drag Me to Hell? I think.
Yes. Yeah.
I think Sam Raimi did that, right? There are moments in that movie where I'm like, oh God, like this guy. But then it's like a 90% movie, but there are moments where it's like,
that's what this movie is for me. Like 90% of the time, I'm just like, great choice. And then the other 10%, I'm just like, no.
I think his humor is like the type of humor which is really weird, where it's like he makes an intentional error and he knows you're laughing at it, but he doesn't care that you're laughing at it. Like, because that's the whole premise of Evil Dead, I feel like.
Sure. Well, maybe the later one. The first one, I think he was trying to do something really cutting edge, and then he was like, oh, people aren't...
Which is funny to think about. That's the trajectory of Sam Raimi's career.
He leaned into it.
Is like, he made a bad movie that he didn't know was bad, I think. I'm not a horror buff.
It was a cult classic.
And then he was like, wait a minute, oh, people like this? You ever seen Army of Darkness? Like, and it's like, and that became his brand, so...
Yeah, for a while, definitely, yeah.
But
one thing I clocked that I want to know if you guys caught or think is just coincidence or I'm making this up. On zombie Doctor Strange's head, did his scar that went across his forehead say "if"?
Oh.
As if to be an homage to What If Marvel Zombies.
Oh, I didn't even realize. I didn't even check.
I thought it was the Harry Potter lightning.
He had two slashes, and one looked like an F, and the other one was just a line. And I was like, that kind of looks like it says "if."
That would be hilarious if true.
Yeah.
To stay on the point of zombie Doctor Strange,
that was badass, by the way.
His demon wings.
Yeah.
Holy
so
shit!
Cool.
Maybe the most metal moment of any MCU movie to date.
Yeah, which Sam Raimi could pull off.
And I thought it was just a really, it was kind of out of place for the tone of the movie to have like this very Evil Dead moment of this cape trying to drag Scarlet Witch to hell. Pretty much, and just the visual of it, and I hope we get like a Build-A-Figure Marvel Legends of fucking dead evil Strange in his demon cloak.
Did you see what's her name, Olsen?
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, she was like people were she basically addressed like people in interviews will be like, but it's a Marvel movie, and she's like, stop with that shit.
Yes.
She's like, this is good shit. And she's like, I work my ass off. You know, she doesn't watch herself.
No.
She'll never like watch any
I think
of her.
Johnny Depp doesn't do that either.
Okay, yeah. It's not uncommon for people to do that. I think her performances are just amazing. Like they stand out. Like she's a great actress, and I love that like she's kind of being like, just like, don't be so cool that you need to like trash this thing or whatever.
And I think she even went on with the quote of just like, like the crew works really hard on these movies. Like this isn't just you being like, oh, what a dumb movie. Like 2 thumbs down. Like people are making these movies and they're busting their ass to make them.
Yeah.
So she's like, shut the fuck up already. Like we all work really hard on this.
I think it's like funny to shit on things like that are so like Amazon that are like so loved or just in your life that it's like get out of here. But I think that I think she makes a good argument. It's like now some people are like flexing their true artistic skill here and doing some good shit.
Totally.
Yep. America Chavez.
Did not get enough screen time.
She was great.
She was really great. I loved every minute. She should have been in it more.
I was wondering how they were going to do the star portals, because that's a big thing, and I was like, do they change the shape of them? They didn't. Still looked great.
Wait, I thought America Chavez had something else coming out though.
No, she was just like when she punches at stars.
No. Like a subsequent Marvel thing happening. Is that not true?
Are you thinking Miss Marvel?
No. I just thought she was going to make another appearance somewhere else. Like
maybe. She might be in a Young Avengers movie. She might be in...
Oh, she's for sure going to show up in subsequent Marvel movies.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, if it was TV, it's hard to be like, first appearance movie, bring them into TV. I guess they did it with Loki and stuff, but, like... And
I can see them maybe doing it with Miss Marvel, like in a later episode, but, I mean, she'll be in more movies and TV shows for sure.
Yeah. Maybe movie and TV are just converging now where it doesn't matter anymore. Like, you do them both.
With the Marvel stuff, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, they've found success with it, so they're not going to stop.
Cool.
Illuminati. What did we think?
That was a really cool scene. And I wasn't expecting... We all knew Xavier was going to be in there. That was in the commercials. Black Bolt really blew me away.
With the original actor from the TV series.
Oh, is that?
That's Ansel Adams.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
And then Monica Rambeau from the...
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Who is Captain Marvel, becomes Captain Marvel in the Amazing Spider-Man comics, but was the actress who plays her in the Scarlet Witch series.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So that was really cool to see.
That they made that connection like all the way through.
Yeah. And so that makes me wonder if like, is that character going to come back up in the main MCU, or was she just a treat in this movie? I don't know, but that was still cool to see. Reed Richards was fun. I did notice that.
I had no idea that Reed Richards. I guess I didn't catch that was going to happen.
I didn't know it was going to happen either, so that was a surprise for me.
Did you know? You knew that?
No.
Okay.
But Stephen Strange, when he's having that meeting with the Illuminati, was like, Fantastic Four, I thought you guys had your heyday in the 60s. And I was like, okay, so they're acknowledging Fantastic Four happened in 616.
Yes.
Does that prohibit Fantastic Four from making like a whole new showing and being introduced into the MCU now? Unless it gets done in a multiversal sort of way.
And they do it like as a 60s homage.
I have
it could be like a flashback 60s movie, which would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, the couple theories, because if the Fantastic Four originates from the Phantom Zone, like they went into the Phantom Zone and got their powers, maybe they've been in there for all these years and they come back or whatever through the new Secret Wars that's eventually going to happen in the MCU. Another thing I read online on Twitter is there's actually a doo-wop band from the 60s called the Fantastic Four.
Oh, so Stephen Strange is just referencing the doo-wop band?
And from the first Doctor Strange, we know that he's like really into music and knowing when things chart, and because he did the bugle player when he's doing the surgery of
Dizzy or like a
not Dizzy Gillespie, but the guy that plays like the flugelhorn or whatever.
Okay.
And so he quizzes people while he's doing surgery of this, like, do you know when this CD came out? So people are speculating that he's actually referencing an old band from the
Okay.
60s.
Got it.
Oh, that's cool.
Either way, they could do it either way, to be honest.
You guys see him on Saturday Night Live?
I didn't see it.
I cannot believe that, one, he was in almost every skit the same week that this huge movie comes out. I was like, this must have been the busiest week of this guy's life. Because he's got to be doing press,
Yeah.
and then he's got to be like rehearsing skits.
And he murdered it. He's such a good
He was
actor.
really funny
Yeah.
in it, yeah.
He made Arcade Fire look like idiots.
That doesn't take much.
They did it to themselves, actually.
Wrong key. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, so I think A+.
What did you think of John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic?
I think they're gonna care. What do you think? Like,
I mean, I didn't really enjoy it. Like, I don't think he is Mr. Fantastic. And like, I think they can get somebody better. I mean, I think it was just a way to satiate fans because this has been a fan casting for 4 years of get John Krasinski to be Mr. Fantastic.
I think he's a really good actor.
so you think they just did it for like meme status and they're not gonna like carry it through?
I don't know. I think it's a easy play to do that, to the meme ability and people to get excited about.
I don't think people think he's a good actor, to be honest. I think people think he's pretty typecasted and they've hated those horror movies he was in.
What is it?
The Silent, like the
Yeah. Don't say a word. Hush.
I
please.
like him. And he does that whole like.
I thought, given that he was like, we only knew him as Jim in The Office for so long,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that he did those like Jack Reacher movies
Oh, I
and
forgot
was
he
like
did those.
believable in those,
Yeah.
Yeah.
was like, man, this guy's got range. So ever since I've been like, yeah, he can do it. He directed a couple. He directed A Silent Place. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
called?
he
Yeah.
directed both of them
with his wife, and then
Emily Blunt.
they did a shit ton of charity too. He seems like a good
They're
guy.
good people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything about that.
Well, and I think
All right, thank you.
I think just having some familiarity with him gave you more of a moment when they kill him later, right?
Yes.
If it had just been some like rando casted person,
Mm-hmm.
when the moment he dies, you would have been like, eh.
What are you gonna do?
I saw that somebody said that the opening action sequence blew the Batman out of the water. Where people thought I didn't even think the Batman was like that good of an opening sequence, but like they were saying like of superhero movies this year, this is the winner of like opening sequence
Which one? The very first one,
or the
the
first
one with
action
the
like
monster on the New York
yeah
street?
yeah.
That was pretty cool.
So
I did not expect to see the eyeball getting ripped out of the gigantic squid thing. That was, like I said, the horror and blood and gore in the movie
Yeah.
was pretty on point, to be honest.
so it's good. We did more than 7 minutes, so I'm sorry. I hope
Overall ratings of the movie out of 10.
I think like a 9.5.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, up there.
I mean, why? Like, it's what was the weird stuff I can wash away with it being Sam Raimi, and I'm like, whatever.
I give it an 8 because the first leg seemed rushed to get to where we wanted to go. Some of the dialogue was not great. Some of the CGI wasn't great. All in all, fun time. 8 out of 10.
I think I had such low expectations because I really didn't like the first Doctor Strange.
I had a tough time with the first Doctor Strange movie too.
So I was like, but I know the trailer for this looked cool. I don't know.
But it was 8 for me as well.
8, sweet. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. It's weird though, like giving it a 9.5, I still wouldn't put it in my top 5 or even top 10. But I think
You just like that many. of them.
I'm just
Seriously, yeah.
I'm just like, it's good. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I don't know if I'd make top 10 for mine, but yeah.
You guys excited for Thor?
I am excited for Thor.
Yeah, that'll be good.
I love my Jane Foster's just fucking skyrocketing in price.
And yeah, in price. Which one, though?
The What If?
Both.
They're both going up?
They both are. The number 6 and the number 6 on the Jason Aaron run, and then the What If are like,
Hell yeah.
I've seen grades of 9.8s going for 400, which doesn't mean I have we have a $400 copy, but
We're fucking rich. This podcast is done.
I think I got mine signed, so I'm a little. I don't know if that's something that. hurts
we always
the
talk
value
about this,
at
but
all.
I grabbed you a What If for like $10.
You
once.
did.
Yeah. So
We were ahead of the curve on that one, folks. You should have listened a
Well,
few years ago.
I like to grab things when I think they're funny because I'm
Mhm.
like, why would somebody want a What If can't be a first appearance? But I guess it is.
But is it?
It's just I love popular will. just being like this happens sometimes where it's like the cameo is worth more, or because of like
They
the
didn't print as
cover,
many, or,
or like the second appearance is actually the one you want because it's like whatever. I love it, just like the will of the people being like, nah, this is the one.
Well, have we talked about for a hot second, people were actually speculating that the previews
Yes.
were the first appearances.
That's such bullshit.
Yeah, it is bullshit. I was keeping
Because-
previews and I was also keeping, what's that like news thing?
Oh, the newsletter you get
Yeah,
sometimes?
yeah.
Oh, my God.
Comic shop news?
Yeah.
Comic shop news, yeah. Because people were saying the actual first appearance of Miles Morales is in a preview magazine.
Get out of here.
I fucking agree. Like, but if they want to split hairs in like the speculative market, love it or hate it, it runs the prices on
and
eBay.
and here's this thing too where it's like the first Umbrella Academy is a free comic book day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's not as valuable as the first issue would be if it were not a free comic book day. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like if it were like some other like weird one-off they did somewhere else. I feel like it's downgraded because it has like a weird blank barcode and people are like, oh, you got that for free?
Yeah.
And they make a ton of those, right? Because
Yeah.
they're a promotional freebie.
Yeah. Shout out to Free Comic Book Day.
It just happened. Free comic book days were had.
Yep. People
I got mine
frees.
on Midtown. I went into my comic shop.
Did you do the penny thing?
So they had them for free, but there was a minimum order of $10. So you
Oh.
had to buy like $10 worth of other comics, which was an easy ask of me. So I ordered a handful, haven't gotten them yet. All the Marvel ones are on the Unlimited app already, so I'm going to read them ahead of time. When I went into my comic shop on Free Comic Book Day, they were already out of all their Free Comic Book Day comics, which blew my mind.
I think that's another thing of the speculation market now. They just take everything in case something's a first appearance.
Yeah.
Or kids are getting back into comic books, which is what I hope
Yeah,
and believe.
I guess that's great, right?
Yeah.
Because we went 2 years ago, the line was wrapped around the building.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was awesome. It was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Everyone was out for a Stray Cat freebie that year.
Stray Dogs.
Stray Dogs, that's what it's
oh
called.
God, I got that one.
And then
Is that 2 years ago or 1 year ago?
That's like last year's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the House of Slaughter.
The House of
preview
Slaughter preview,
was a huge one.
which is still worth free.
Yeah, it's still worth free. All right, I want to change it up a little bit. Did anybody here get a chance to read 8 Billion Genies, which is a book we've been hyping for a minute?
Yo, I did.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but spoil away.
Okay, is that okay if we spoil it a little
Totally.
bit?
Yeah, I don't.
So it's the same crew as Curse Words, which I fucking loved that book. And so Ryan Brownie's on it, which we were big fans of him.
Mhm.
And then Charles Soule is on this. So this was, if you remember, we were talking, you brought this up as a news piece because just the description of it is insane.
So funny.
Yeah.
I've read previews of like the first few pages of the story and other comics, and just the first 3 pages are like great.
Yeah, and so it's like I actually don't even understand why it happens, but it doesn't matter. But everybody gets a genie, and you get one wish, and the comic book takes place in like so far it's only like the first 8 minutes of people getting these genies, because just like you can imagine the insanity of what's happening. The comic book is flawless, amazing
From start to finish,
Yeah.
flawless.
I like absolutely love it. Even the way they do the genies is just like fucking brilliant.
They're very cutesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're like look like video game esque. Like,
Uh-huh.
my one like thing is like in Curse Words, it was like the insanity was like at a 10, and it was still a great story.
Mhm.
There's not like comedy or zaniness happening.
I hope we'll see it in the next few issues. This seems like it'll be rooted in a lot of reality of just like it's almost kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of suspense because like
I think
what has happened, and a lot changes in the 8 minutes, and like, am I safe? Are other people safe? Like, why is there giant robots and people walking around
and then
now?
other people's wishes affect your wishes, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
But then the whole thing with like I think the genie horrorness is like you don't know what you're wishing for.
Mm-hmm. It's like the whole monkey paw.
Right.
thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Great reference. That's Encino Man, right?
They made a point
Simpsons.
of saying, "Be careful with your intention
Yeah.
when you make your wish."
Yeah, in the preview, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, this is a 1 in 8, and this one kind of just sets you up. There's not like it was way shorter than I thought it was going to be. Like I was done. I was like, what? But also I was on the edge of my seat.
I'm also so bummed it's only 8 issues.
Although, I mean, I think Curse Words came back and did a second arc. I could be wrong on that.
Curse Words went for like 20-something issues.
Oh, is that what it? Yeah, it just ran for a while.
Yeah, it went a long time. I don't think it was supposed to.
Okay.
And then it got really popular, and they're just like, keep going.
What about,
keep going.
did God Hates Astronauts do something like that? It doesn't matter. They're great series.
They had a volume 1 and a volume 2.
Okay. So I could see this becoming one of those things.
It was so good. It was so good. Because you're like, where do these genies come from? I hope that gets explored. This guy makes a smart wish about, like, his wish is just like, nothing inside this bar is affected by wishes.
So
so it's like a safe place.
And he does it. It shows you that he's essentially like the first wish, or one of the 2 first wishes, and he just like went with his instinct. So like they're kind of just playing on him being like sage guy. He's also like older than you think because he just like he knows like Mandarin. It's cool. There's a lot of like mystery to it.
Yeah, he's like a real mysterious character. There's more to him than just meets the eye.
I read 5 number 1s this week.
Whoa.
I read 4.
It is by far the best. Like no contest.
I have one that maybe outranks it, but it's for stupid reasons.
Okay. If you pick what I think, if you pick a stupid book, then I'm gonna be mad at you. Let's go into some of those number 1s. You okay to like pop
let's go
into
for
it?
it. Let's go for it.
Did you read Captain America: Symbol of Truth?
I did not read that one.
Okay.
The cover is so rad.
It's sick as fuck.
Yeah, I read it, and this is the thing with me and Marvel where I'm like, okay, like I don't necessarily know where this fits. I get that like Sam Wilson's also going to exist in Captain America. The thing for me where I was like, actually like loved it was they bring in a lot of like political. This is the same author that wrote this book called Riot Baby, and they bring like political stuff in, but it like works in the arc of it. And then there's like this Wakanda conspiracy, which was really good. And then
cool.
the action was just like really high all the way through. I was like, not for me really, because I'm like not a Cap person, but the book is like is very solid, like very solid.
They get really interesting people to write Captain America books and great artists to do the interiors and covers for them. And I try so hard to get into that character. But I think there's something just so corny about the Americana that's so essential to it.
And he's like, and then it's even corny to like, to me, to like critique it and be like, but America is flawed. And
yeah,
it's like, yeah, we know that already.
You feel like a real dork diving into the whole metaphor of it all,
Yeah.
or the simile they try to.
it's as good
it.
as a Captain America book could be, I
Yeah.
guess, except for like some
Which
of
is high praise from us.
right. They're doing that thing with like the Carter, though, the female Captain America.
Agent 13.
Yeah.
No. Peggy Carter. I'm sorry.
Is that what it is? Peggy? Okay. And then I liked the queer Captain America that made an appearance on like the train.
Oh yeah,
train.
the cross country.
Yeah.
Inspired by Captain America stories. Those are sweet.
Yeah. So like they could do cool shit. This to me is not the book that's going to save Captain America, but it was a good book.
So this is for like old heads that are just like, I like my Captain America.
I think it's for
focused on Sam Wilson.
I think it's a Sam Wilson.
Oh right.
And
Sorry,
it like goes into his love life, and then it's like the Wakanda shit was actually really cool. The villain arc is gonna be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, and the action sequences, the like art's just awesome. I think if you are like, a Sam Wilson fan, I guess.
Which they're out there.
Yeah.
Surely.
I think if you want to see like more representation in comic books, this is also your book too. So like,
It's funny just because I picture these Captain America books because all of our Captain Americas were military guys, that there is some like bro army culture aspect of this that is not something that I just identify with. Like, I grew up reading stuff where Peter Parker gets bullied in class and then like is like, you guys don't know I'm actually cool with superpowers.
Yeah.
that is cool. Yeah. It's like, instead of being like, I was chosen by America to defend American shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I like, not for me, but a good book. Like, it was cool.
Okay.
Captain America to be for me is going to have to radically change, be more than just like, oh, it's a black guy now.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
okay. Then I read Grimm, which I don't know which publisher that was on, but it's Boom. Yeah. Stephanie Phillips's book.
Mm-hmm.
This is the, it's like
Is it Grim? Is it a Grim Fairy Tales thing?
No, I thought it
No.
would have been. It's what's the movie where
If
like
there's a reason I accidentally skipped this on previews, it was because of that.
I almost skipped it too, but then I was like, oh, Stephanie Phillips doing an independent book. I love that. What's the book where like the jazz guy dies? The Pixar movie,
Oh, not Life.
whatever that movie's called.
Yeah.
It's it's like that Pixar movie in like comic book boom form. So it's like
Well,
you get the mantle of Grim Reaper. If you die, you get to be a Grim Reaper, but you are not death, and there are many Grim Reapers.
so it's like Monsters Incorporated with the Grim Reaper. Like these Grim Reapers are chosen. They don't know why they're Grim Reapers, but it's speculated that these Grim Reapers like don't know how they died. Like if you died, but under mysterious circumstances, you would become.
I think it's only the character.
You think only this one?
I think only
character?
the
Oh,
main
okay.
character doesn't know how she died, so you're also figuring out why she died, and she loses her scythe. And so like it was like honestly it was good enough that I'm like I want to see this through.
Totally.
And it
yeah,
was like
100%.
and it was like really fun, and I love that it wasn't Grim Fairy Tales,
Yeah.
and I love that it was like a take on Grim Reaper where there's like there's actually many, and like
Right.
And it was-
Like a Green Lantern Corp.
So
Yeah.
is there an aspect of this where she's trying to solve her own death?
it
It's gonna be,
that's
yeah.
gonna be that will probably be the arc of it all.
Okay.
She's a Grim Reaper. She takes someone in who steals her scythe, becomes mortal again. So she's back in the mortal realm. This is where she like probably tries to figure out what happened to her.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to follow this. I'm gonna have to
The
read
way
it.
the way that the book explains it is way better than what I did. But Flaviano did the artwork to it, and it was really fun to look at.
It was the scythe itself. That movie, Pixar movie we're looking for. The name of it is Soul.
Soul.
Oh yeah.
I saw that movie a lot, and I just like, is this just Soul for adults? Like, it really did feel like Soul, like there are elements of it, but it was good. Like, I like Stephanie Phillips, and I think that she brings an element of comedy that is not like, but it's like like a little bit of sprinkles of comedy that I like. So
Her Harley Quinn run is great. I'm still reading that.
Yeah. You will enjoy yourself.
So did you guys know, just on a similar note, that the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit is based on a book called Who Killed Roger Rabbit?
no.
And in that book, cartoons have like a shade of themselves that's like an imprint left behind when they're dead that lasts for like a couple days before they like truly fade away. And so he's racing against the clock to try to solve his own murder
Oh,
before he totally fades away.
Interesting.
That's the premise of that, and they just changed it because they were like, well, we're gonna make this a movie with cartoons and stuff. We got to make it a little more, or a
Fun.
little less grim.
That's
But
cool, though.
A little bit of the concept reminds me of that. I don't know. That's always been the premise of that has always interested me, and it's always been a book I wanted to check out, but I haven't. I was just curious.
I
if you
learned
guys had read
something
it.
about a movie that I love or loved that I didn't
Not
know
anymore?
before. No. Forrest Gump
I thought you were gonna say
is actually a novel that was made into a movie.
How about that?
okay.
Did you know Mighty Ducks was actually a movie that got turned into
A cartoon with live action ducks playing hockey.
I read the
no shit.
Did you guys used to read the
Did-
like novelization of
Yes.
movies?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
used to
no,
do
I
that.
never did that.
I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, I read. I remember Dragonheart
Dragon.
Oh God!
because I was like so hard on for dragons.
And Sean Connery.
It's literally the fucking script. Like it's just like so bad.
Yeah, I read the Mighty Ducks one, and then I remember reading Phantom Menace and being like, oh, the book was so much better.
Oh my God! What a nerd.
It was very nerdy.
Just since we're on like independent stuff, I was gonna mention.
Hell, fucking yes.
I don't know if you saw this, but Skybound or Image is going to be releasing this thing called After School, which is yet another horror anthology
Right.
because they have the like Silver Coin and
Haha.
Haha and Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
And like all the shit or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I guess it's popular, but this is going to take like the after school, like a little bit more like teen stuff. And it's supposed to be like things you thought of. And like the preview is like dissecting a frog in biology
Right.
and stuff. So I'm kind of, I'm really like blown away that this is a format that people want a fourth version of now.
I think people love like compartmentalized horror stuff. Like that's why they love the Creep Show and Tales from the Crypt. Like, and I mean, there's a reason Silver Coin and Haha and Ice Cream Man are doing so well. It's because people love that kind of genre.
Yeah. I wish it well. The team looks cool, and I think it's fun. So I'm like, yeah, keep going for it. I don't think people are sick of it yet. I was just surprised they were gonna do another. Like,
I read the preview and thought it looked sick. I thought it was so cool.
yeah.
Are you guys still reading Silver Coin?
I know you are, right?
Yes. I still love it. And I think the deal is at every... So Michael Walsh does the art and then has different writers come in to tell each story. Now, Michael Walsh has written 2 of them, which I think are the number 5 and the number 10. So I think every 5 issues, he writes one that almost gives you more insight into the origins of the coin or explains a little more of the world.
Okay.
Because his first one and his 10th one, in the 10th one certainly, we got a lot more peppering about like what the whole deal is with the coin, that I was like, whoa, to have an anthology thing and then get like a world building thing when you weren't expecting that, made that
Didn't they
really
have some
cool.
heavy, like Chip Zdarsky come on or something
Yeah,
like that?
he's been doing it.
Okay, yeah.
Kelly Thompson did one.
Vida Ayala.
Jeff Lemire
Oh,
did one.
yeah.
Vida Ayala did one. Yeah. A lot of big names.
Yeah, some heavy
Ed
hitters.
Brubaker, I think, did one.
The Broobs.
The Broobs.
All right, let's go back into some number ones then. Did you get a chance to check out the Jurassic League?
Yes, I did.
You're putting that above 8 Billion Genies.
Okay, so they're both number ones for
You're
different
a big
reasons.
Daniel Warren Johnson fan.
I love Daniel Warren Johnson. He didn't illustrate it. He did just write it.
What's
he
he
did
done?
covers for it, though, didn't he?
He did the covers for it.
Yeah.
He did like
The covers were awesome.
the Better Ray Bill and
Oh, yeah.
Murder Falcon.
Okay.
And he has a new one called Power Bomb.
Okay, I didn't realize that that's who did this.
It's just stupid fun.
Yeah.
It's like like Encino Man, like you mentioned earlier. It's
Yeah.
just like a fun movie. You just turn your brain off. Why are these dinosaurs Justice League members? Who gives a shit? It's a fun story. It looks cool.
I feel like it trips itself up by explaining sometimes where it's like, no, this is the Superman of a dinosaur.
Oh
Like-
yeah, 100. Like it's very dialed in to a certain audience.
But otherwise, it was like really fun. And like the artwork was just awesome.
It was incredible.
And stuff. And it felt like Ninja Turtles in a good way. Like
Yeah.
everything you want out of like, I don't know. So-
This book has the level of absurdity that was like automatic buy for me that the Marvel mech stuff didn't have.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm like, if you're gonna get zany and do this like one-off short series, like mechs isn't fun.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. You're right.
The
That's a good point.
characters,
Mechs did not work.
yeah, the characters all being like frogs or something.
Yes.
is like great.
It wasn't weird enough.
Yeah.
Marvel was like playing it a little bit safe, and like DC was like, "Fuck it, make them dinosaurs,"
And it's like I love that they don't spend time explaining why.
or at all. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, it's more about like, how am I doing making dinosaur Batman?
Yeah. You guys still with me?
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sake, we see the moment where Clark Kent comes to Earth, and it's the little capsule, and he's a fucking dinosaur. So you are led to believe he came from another dinosaur planet that they're sentient.
So are you guys both read this book?
Yeah.
Are there humans on Earth? Or is
Yeah.
it all-
Yeah.
Okay, there are.
Yeah.
Just the superheroes are dinosaurs.
which is like a really nice dynamic actually
Yeah.
of it all. Yeah.
And they can talk to one another.
Uh-huh. And so you probably saw the cover. So the
Yes.
dinosaurs are anthropomorphized.
Yeah.
So they're like they're not just like which would be funny, I guess, if
But they're not sexualized. I need to make that very clear.
That's true. Like it'd be funnier if it was like an actual just T-Rex with like a cape on.
Like, is it actually will
Right.
walk around?
Yeah. So yeah, I think Jurassic League is it's a really short run. Like it's
It's something like
1
4 or
and
5
3
or
something.
whatever.
Yeah. Okay, I was not gonna read this, and then I saw shit online about it, and so I went ahead and read Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War,
Same.
Alpha. You read it too?
I was so shocked about how much I enjoyed it. It was so weird.
Okay, what
I love
is
that Donnie Cates is writing both Thor and Hulk right now, so it was like perfect for him to smash these together.
what's the Banner of War like?
Bruce Banner.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like it's an event.
It's a mini event.
Yeah, it's like just a mini crossover thing.
Okay.
So the event is Thor is trying to basically arrest Hulk and bring him back to Earth for stuff he did in El Paso,
Got it.
allegedly.
Okay.
In this Donny Cates run, Hulk kills a character that worked at like a car shop that Thor had made good pals with.
Okay.
Did
Nice.
Jane live there for a little bit too?
Yeah.
There was they both had a connection to the city.
So I want to do a spoiler about this book that I think will sell it on you or sell it to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
First of all, just like high intensity action. There's like some cool reveals and stuff like that. There's a point where Mjolnir is like laid on Hulk to just pin him down, right? Which would work, right? And so Hulk, to overcome it, he stands up and lets the hammer rip through the middle of him. So he's just a hole. Did you see this already?
No, but it sounds like
Okay.
Hulk
And so,
lately.
Sounds like something he'd do.
and it's like, and it just resumes the battle essentially. And it's like, at that point, I was like, okay, this book fucks.
And it fucks hard.
It's so funny how much lately they've just decided that the Hulk is Wolverine rules. And will just like completely regenerate anything now.
Like
They'll have to retcon that eventually.
because
That's
it would
just,
would have torn
too
out his
much.
heart and
Yeah.
just killed him.
Right.
Right. But instead, it's like, oh, he regenerates.
Like
now.
after Immortal Hulk, like there's a few issues where he was just like cut up in jars.
Mm-hmm.
right.
All his
Separated.
different pieces were separated in jars so he wouldn't reconstitute. And I thought after the Green Door stuff had resolved itself, then he would go back to being mortal. I didn't think he'd like constantly be regenerating his body all the time, but what do I know?
Are you up to date on Thor?
Both Thor and Hulk, yes.
So
But the spoiler there is that Odin is inside Mjolnir
Yes.
now and
Right.
can talk to Thor.
there is a moment in this book
Yeah.
where I chuckled out loud because Hulk in his green form is talking to Bruce Banner out loud, and Thor is talking out loud to his hammer, to Odin, and they both go, "What'd you just say? What'd you just say?" And like they're just like, "Who are you talking to?" And then Thor goes, "No, who are you talking to?" And I thought it was just so funny that these two separate people are so similar in what they're dealing with at the
Right.
time, and they're just combating one another, and it's just like. If they took a second to realize what was happening, it would be a totally different outcome. And that was the brilliance of this book. And Donny Cates has done it again, folks.
I think it's a one-off, right? Like it's
Yeah, this is the alpha. So like this
Yeah.
is like the premiere setup to the event.
okay.
One thing, Greg and I were talking about this book before the podcast, and the whole thing with the Hulk run that's confusing me is like Bruce is piloting the Hulk's body, but there's a different like child Hulk that's inside the engine room that's fueling the thing. And then there was this weird comeuppance in the last issue of Hulk that I was like, what does the fallout mean though? And it sounds like this book kind of put some parameters around that and showed you like what the fallout was with like the symbiosis between those three different entities inside a Hulk body. So if you're reading Hulk, I would recommend keeping on with this Banner of War thing just to understand the situation a little better.
And it was a fun read. The only other number one this is one I didn't read, was Bunny Mask is back.
Stop the presses, everyone.
Well, Mike and I
pre-ordered it because I loved the first run of Bunny
and the
Mask.
only reason I didn't read it is I haven't actually finished the first run yet.
Yeah.
So I loved it though. I mean, it gets the prize for the absolute dog shit worst cover, best book.
I could not believe that was another one that I just like took a chance on.
Yeah.
And after reading the first issue, I was like, I need every cover. Like, this book blew my fucking butt off.
It was giving me such strong like zombie tramp vibes. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not going to
Yeah,
be tricked into
That's
this
what I'm
book.
saying.
It looked like a sexy zombie thing.
And we
and it
talked
was
about that
so
when we
much
covered
more.
it.
Yeah.
But no, I think that like people that read it and liked it, like were pumped about this. So it's coming back. It's going to be a very niche audience. I think.
Well,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's the tough thing with these like small run indie books is like the part two.
Yeah.
Like you have to be an existing fan who's still buying in, and it's been like 5-6 months since the last Bunny Mask series ended, so I always feel for these people printing these again. But the writer Paul Tobin is like, he's got a fan for life now. I'll always give something of his a chance just because that first one was so good.
You're in the Tobin tribe.
I'm in the Tobin
He's
tribe.
a Tobin head. Did you read any other number ones? Tobin?
No.
Okay.
I was gonna read the latest issue of Crossover, but I ran out of time.
Oh, I didn't even realize
Yeah.
that came out.
Well, since we don't do crosstalk anymore.
I know we don't do crosstalk.
You don't keep up on it.
Been too hard keeping up with Saga, so.
And that's going really well.
I've loved it.
Yeah.
You've kept up on it? Yeah.
I stopped pulling it just because I had a hard. That was a book that I read in trade first,
Mhm.
and I'm just used to reading it that way. And it the first 2 books back, it was just so frustrating for me
Because you wanted to read it so much.
So I was like, I'm just gonna. I already have the other 3 beefy volumes, and I'm just gonna buy the 4th when it comes out.
I think the thing that's going to be tough, though, is like when something big happens, it's going to be hard for you to avoid it.
Well, I don't care. I don't care if we talk about it on the show or whatever, too.
That's the thing is, like, I just want to know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I feel like
It's a cultural event.
Yeah, I feel like time will shed light on it being like one of the most impactful comic books of all time.
Yes.
And so I'm like, I want to be in the moment, I guess. I don't know. And who knows if this second arc will actually be as lauded as
I think it will. I do not suspect that Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples are going to go out with a whimper.
It's been great. I feel like the letters to editors have been worse. Like Brian K. Vaughan's kind of on his like nerd shit on them. And
Well, he had 2 years of COVID to really reflect
yeah, no, he
on
did.
shit.
He did, and is like it's also like this weird thing of like he's talking from the past, but the books themselves, the storylines have just like almost like been better in some ways. I've really enjoyed it. So, the other thing that I was gonna bring up was Marvel announced that in their Pride book on June 22nd, which I don't know why this is called Marvel's Voices Pride #1 because I thought they did one before.
They did.
But anyway, it's called that.
Every year, I think there's a new #1.
But they call it #1 every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an annual, folks.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like annual rules.
So they're gonna have a trans mutant, which is not that big a deal because like I think that like DC recently announced that like one of their Flashes is neutral gender too and stuff like that.
Right.
But I think that the development of this character I'm really excited about. It's by this author who wrote a book called All the Birds in the Sky, which is like this fucking fantastic sci-fi book that like blew my fucking mind. And they're gonna let this author write a run of New Mutants.
Oh, New Mutants. Okay, cool.
So an arc of New Mutants. So the character's gonna appear there and then be in New Mutants.
That's rad.
I believe this character, I don't love this, is called
Escapade.
Yeah, Escapade. Sheila Sexton, I think is their name. And they have the power of like they can switch places with somebody, but they have to be they have to be 7 feet from them. And there's like some other things like they can only maintain it for a few hours, and like the more it's like it has a lot of like rules that kind of fuck it for them. So and then it's also the team that did Crowded. That's like
I loved Crowded.
That's part of it. So it's like I think that this character has legs. So I think plan to pick up this character.
I think when they develop new characters, less rules the better with their powers. Just make it super generic.
This one has a lot of rules.
That's a lot of rules.
There's
you
a
just
lot.
described.
Like I didn't even describe. There's more that I like didn't quite understand. What were you gonna ask about?
If Marvel Voices Pride, was that a free comic book day thing?
There was a preview of it.
Oh, okay.
That's on
Yeah.
the free
This is
comic
gonna
day.
be like a probably more than $3.99 comic.
It
'Cause
is.
It's the annual
like
price.
$8.
So this hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. No, it's coming out in June.
Got it.
I read the last one and it was great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, these annual things that they've been doing have been phenomenal. The problem that I have with them, and I think you guys do too, is like they don't transition into other comics.
that's why I like this one.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's
Well,
gonna-
this character is it anyway, and the creator.
And the other critique is like the indigenous one that they did, and just people is like, those were great, but it's like, so you're just gonna put all of those writers on one book.
on one
like-
book, and then nothing the
And
rest
then
of the
be
year.
like, yeah, we're done for the year.
Yeah. So, but this book,
We made our quota.
Yeah.
Like, good job.
The thing I appreciate about it is that with the books they're publishing, it's hard to give like 10 different indigenous writers
Yeah.
like books and opportunities. So this in a way gets people exposure like in larger amounts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It does. It
Like
gives
they're
them a
able to
bigger
put
spotlight.
like tons of people in a spotlight, and they can go create indie comics, and they've been published now, and hopefully Marvel brings them back to do like mainline books.
Well, and do you
But I agree, it is frustrating to be like, we're fixing the problem, but doing it like in
one book at a time.
the only-
in 45 pages, and
the
like,
only
being
one
like, we're done.
The only one they gave was the Black Eyed Peas guy.
So Taboo has
Yeah.
written like 4 or 5 books recently, and folks, it's a problem.
And his fucking book became a show too, The Werewolf by Night.
Well, not his book specifically, but
Right, the character.
Nightmare Werewolf by Night, which is a whole title that makes
Trash.
no sense.
The one thing, do you remember last year where we were like, in Pride Month, DC destroyed Marvel,
Yeah,
right?
handedly.
The Pride covers were amazing
Yeah.
for DC.
I feel like the one way Marvel can redeem themselves is they're like, well, we're gonna create a character that's actually we're gonna commit to
yeah.
in Pride. Like that actually makes sense to me. Rather than celebrating the Pride they have done, is like
Right.
do some more. I don't know. So good on them.
All right. Well, it's about an hour. Thus is the new format.
Yeah,
I liked it.
we just roll with it. This is like, for those listeners that weren't Patreon members, this is like the shit we used to do in our Patreon, and it was somewhat more enjoyable.
For us and for the audience.
Yeah, I think it was like rad to just riff and be like, it's no hold bars. It's a cage match.
A word of warning, though. Sometimes we do talk about music longer than a minute.
We came off of it quickly.
Well,
I
you
think.
did. No, it was a beautiful transition. You recognized what you were doing, and you said, not today,
Not today.
and you pivoted, which I'm proud of you.
Yeah. So there you go. There's always I was gonna mention this last time. Broken Social Scene has a comic book coming out.
Oh my God, yes, they do.
Yeah.
A whole fucking trade.
Okay, it's on this weird imprint though, that like they do they just do like artist things or whatever, and it's like kind of shit, like because it's like the there's a rapper that that doesn't matter. You can go look at the imprint of it, and it's like, oh, like,
They've done several comics with musicians.
and it's like, yeah, it's like odd musicians or whatever that
there's
like,
a place that did a Sturgill Simpson
it might be like that.
book.
Yeah.
And Poppy did her graphic novel there.
Oh, I didn't even know these existed.
Yeah, there's a
So Vince Staples has a book coming out on this.
Yes.
And like we met the illustrator. The illustrator's like fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But like, do I care if Vince Staples writes a comic?
No.
No, not really. But Arcade Fire has like a double graphic novel that's, I think, paralleling with the origin stories of their albums.
Okay.
Oh, I said Arcade Fire. I meant Broken Social Scene.
Yes.
I would not care if it's Arcade Fire, but Broken Social Scene has that, and I was like, okay, that's some music comic news I can get
People
into.
are actually going wild for it.
They should pre-order it.
And the artwork looks insane. So I'm excited to read it. And you've mentioned Vince Staples. We get those emails through our podcast email or whatever, and one of them was just like, Vince Staples throwing a concert for his new comic book, and then that was like 2 days ago, and today we got one that says concert postponed.
Did it really?
Yeah, so that was like, well, that was short-lived there, folks.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, new format, better show, better people, healthier show.
Quiznos.
Yeah. Get at us on all the things, and enjoy your life.
See you in 14 days.
Bye. First Issue Club is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company via Space Camper Cosmic IPA. Our music is courtesy of the fine folks at Primary Color Music. You can find, friend, and follow us on social media at First Issue Club or firstissueclub.com. You can support First Issue Club by joining us on our Patreon for additional content at patreon.com/firstissueclub.